I'm Andrew Patterson from interest.co.nz and welcome to another in our business success story series. Today I'm with Maree and Jessie, the co-founders of I Love Pies. Welcome.
Thanks.
Hi, thanks.
So just tell us a little bit about the business and the inspiration behind bringing I Love Pies to market.
Jessie and I, we both lived overseas working for large multinational food companies, working in the innovation department, and we came back from our OEs, and one of the first things you crave is, a good old Kiwi steak and cheese pie. We were both talking about our experiences with eating steak and cheese pies and how we were actually left feeling a little bit disappointed, if not a little ill, because it's such a bad quality. And we thought, actually, we can make a really good pie. So we made some pies for our friends and family, and they loved them. And so then we decided, hey, let's go to a commercial bakery and see if we could make a few pies, which we did. We took those pies to the Clevedon farmers markets, and I think we had, was it 100 pies?
About 100 pies, and we sold out in an hour or so, and we thought, we think we're onto something here.
Yeah. We thought there was a real opportunity. As you said, it's a large category, but there's not a lot of innovation and there's not a lot of news, and we thought there was a real opportunity to, disrupt that category.
We've seen a lot of New Zealanders coming back from overseas, having gained experience and then thinking, hey, I can do this, I can start a business off. So tell us about your own experience and what you brought to the business and the product when you launched it.
Well, I think New Zealand, especially with large FMCGs, are becoming very much an implementation market. They're taking innovation from overseas and just launching it here without really thinking about the demographic and the uniqueness that is New Zealand. So from a personal career point of view, not very motivating to try and get a job here working for a corporate. So being overseas gave us an opportunity to huge budgets, also taught you processes and taught you how to do things properly, and we took all those.
There are also a few
learnings.
other companies that were kind of had used a similar model that we used, which is kind of this virtual idea. We outsource a lot of our stuff. We don't have the bakery ourselves. We outsource our sales and marketing, and that had that similar process, and that was also inspiring to see that type of business.
And this is all run on a virtual model, so effectively you contract everything else. Just tell us a little bit about how that model actually works.
I think Jessie and I looked at what are our skills, and it's innovation and marketing, and our skills aren't running a factory, our skills aren't in distribution and sales. So we thought, well, why take all that risk when starting up a business, investing in a factory and plant and equipment and staff, when we could actually outsource all that. Sure, we might pay a slight premium, but there's less risk, and it also means that we can focus more on what's really going to make a difference to our business, which is developing new products and doing great marketing.
But the issue becomes, product control and quality control. How do you ensure that when you don't have the hands-on involvement?
Really tight processes that we've started. I mean, initially we made all of those pies ourselves in the bakery. We created all of the processes, every single ingredient we hand selected. We have ensured that those ingredients that we select are still being used. We audit. We have a very close relationship with the bakery. So pretty much exactly what we designed and created is still being implemented the same. And you can taste it as well. Hasn't changed from day one as well. So.
How do you do a product test, every week or something, and have a couple of pies just to make sure?
We do. I mean, the farmers markets act really wonderfully for that as well. We have a really tight loop of feedback. If it's a pastry, was it all still okay and things?
And we have really discerning customers. If you're paying nearly $20 for a pie, if there's anything slightly wrong, they're quick to tell us, which is great because we're quick to act on it.
Yeah. Because this is the other interesting part of this category too, is that it's a premium product, and there are people out there who are willing to pay what some people might consider as a very expensive amount of money for a pie. So how did you work out the pricing and where to sit in the category?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, we have very expensive ingredients. So
that dictated, to us, we had to have a certain price point from the start of it. But the farmers markets were really helpful in that, because we could pitch that price, and we got that instant consumer feedback about how was it okay, and people did see the value in it. So that was really helpful in our initial launch.
And I think too, if you think our competitors or the category we compete in is actually a lot wider than pies. We think of ourselves more as a ready meal. So how much would people spend for a quick, easy meal? And I think you'd be hard pressed to get takeaways for a family of 4 for under $20. So,
and we can consider our pies so much more satisfying. You know, it's really kind of catering to that sort of home cooked, like you've made it yourself with love sort of aspect.
yeah,
So
we use free range meat and fresh vegetables and herbs, and we sort of say to people, look, that's a kg worth of pie there.
Yeah.
If you were to buy a kg worth of meat, what would that cost you? And then our pies actually look pretty good value for money then.
So all of your suppliers are pretty closely vetted as well too?
Absolutely. We go out and visit the chicken farm and, make sure the chickens are happy and free range, and, they have been really carefully selected. Another thing, that's just really unique about our pies is the pastry. So it's made with sour cream and butter, and, people can really taste that that's not your usual sort of hydrogenated margarine-based pastry.
What about research? What sort of research did you undertake in terms of understanding what the customer was really looking for in this particular product?
I think the great thing about the farmers markets was that it acted as research for us. We were right there with our consumers. Each week we were tweaking the recipes, tweaking the delivery of the product, the branding, the price points, and we really felt that we were getting a product that could easily go to market in a retail situation because we knew our customers liked it.
I mean, we kind of had 6 months of live product research before we kind of launched onto the retail scene, and we'd have customers coming back each week saying, "Did you like that? What we did that with that?" And they're like, "No, can you change it?" And we could, and it was such a wonderful model.
And I think that's the great thing too, even just about our pies being fresh as they are, is that every week we have an opportunity to improve things if we want to. So.
It's quite a crowded category. There's lots of competitors in this space. So how did you seek to differentiate the product with backing you?
Yeah, I mean, we had, for starters, the history of the farmers markets where we could say, hey, we've got proven sales, we sell out after an hour, we have customers who love these pies and they're working at this price point. So that helped too. But I think too, Jessie and I, we've come from FMCG, so background, so we understand, how to build a category story and how to...
But I suppose we were really lucky at the time that we launched with the likes of Farrow and Nosh. These types of stores were just starting, and we've grown with them as well. So, and they've been really, really supportive of New Zealand innovation. So that was a really amazing stepping stone for us.
The farmers market, it's a clever concept because it effectively allows you to test your product in a fairly easy way, a safe environment without having to invest huge amounts of money. So that did that kind of give you a bit of confidence to go from there?
Definitely.
And also a revenue stream as well.
Yeah, it helped our cash flow when we first started out. So, it was tick on every level, wasn't it really?
Yeah, and we still have those same farmers markets running today, Matakana and Clevedon.
And it's a lovely way for people to experience our brand, and they can try our individual pies and before they purchase a large one. So
we still have that original starting point in the business.
Now, another common feature of this type of food is that there's high levels of customer engagement. So you don't spend a lot of money in above the line advertising.
No.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. We think if you can try our pie, then you will buy our pie.
Yeah.
So all our money and effort goes into in-store demonstrations. It's really important for our retailers because it helps them, but also it's great for us because we can actually educate people.
I think literally, as soon as people taste our pies, you kind of don't need to tell them. You can taste it, it's such a lovely pie.
And they can see that it, you can talk to them, tell them, look, it's free range, it's fresh herbs, it's pastry made from scratch. We don't use mold inhibitors and all those sorts of things.
Don't lie. So,
What about the health conscious customer as well? Because increasingly people are focusing more on that. What's in the food, and so how do you deal to that area?
I think we do talk to the health conscious in some respects because it's real ingredients and it's fresh ingredients, and we don't use all sorts of nasties and additives. But, they aren't by any means,
It's not a low-fat offering, for example, but not everyone's looking for a low-fat. There's something to be said about eating quality food,
and in moderation. And if you're going to indulge in something like this, do it in moderation and eat something that's good quality.
Now, you've been going for about 5 years almost, and you started on Valentine's Day, which was a nice touch as well too, with a pie that has love in its name. But effectively, you've grown and scaled. So how have you dealt with the scaling issue? Going from the farmers market, to a bigger, much bigger supply chain.
100% the beauty of outsourcing everything, because we we went to a bakery that had the capacity. We use a sales and merchandising company that has the capacity, so we didn't have to worry about hiring more salespeople as we grew because that sales force was already there. So it enables you to grow very fast, but also to execute well, which I think where people fall down a lot.
Yeah. We chose the premise for manufacturing the pies because of its food safety program, its quality. It was already supplying to Progressive, and it also had extra capacity. So we had that vision of being a larger company from the beginning. So we didn't kind of shortchange ourselves, I suppose.
And I think what can slow you down a lot as you're growing is the constant changing. You know, if you had to find another manufacturing place, or you had to hire more people, or whatever, we didn't have that. It just was this natural evolution where things just were able to grow.
So through retail?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's no sort of online component.
When we first started out, we did home delivery, but
which was literally Maree and I in our car. But as our retail side of our business, grew so fast, we quickly realised that it really wasn't kind of the best use of our time. But we still think of Pie in the Post affectionately, and there were some unhappy people when we stopped doing it. So
Possibly an opportunity in the future for a contractor or something to come a part of that.
Maree and I are, one thing about us is, we're really excited about new ideas and innovation and food. So, sometimes we kind of think we have to hold ourselves back because we've got too many ideas.
You'd think there's a bit of seasonality with a product like this, that it would sell more in winter than in summer. Is that actually the case?
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. We thought that same thing, but we have, there's not much seasonality within our, sure we see, January, February, a little bit of a dip off, but because our pie provides a really good meal solution, around Christmas and things, it goes crazy. People are busy, they want an easy meal, so we continue to see that growth. So we're really lucky in that.
What sort of growth are we talking about? If you go back 4.5 years ago to when you were just sort of supplying the farmers markets.
I think we've had something like 255% growth.
Yeah.
So
we've entered the Deloitte Fast 50 this year, so
fingers crossed.
This bit of advice, having gone through this process 4.5 years on, what might you have considered that you know now that you perhaps you wish you'd known right at the start?
About this business model, I think making sure that you have partners that you trust and you can work with, and because they are partners, they're not just suppliers, so you want to feel that you have a really great working relationship, and you're working together as a team.
You've got to start off looking, and your branding is really important. You've got to be professional. One of the first things we spent our money on was making sure that our logo design was exactly what we wanted, because you can't sort of have a second rate offering. You have to go out with your best foot forward, sort of thing.
Start out how you intend
to finish,
be. So yes, you might start off in the farmers markets, but think to yourself, what would this product look like in a supermarket? Because you will save yourself a lot of money and time up front by doing that.
In terms of debt, you've no debt involved in the business?
No, nothing. Everything's been self-funded. So we've been profitable since year 2, and it's been a great ride so far.
Where could you grow to? Where could you take this business in the future? And obviously I'm thinking perhaps Australia's an opportunity as well.
We're currently looking at exporting. We're off to Australia in a couple of weeks' time. So we definitely see a role for pies. I love pies in international markets, but also we want to look at different categories and use a similar model and say, how can we disrupt that category? How can we carve out a niche using our skills? So.
And you found some brand extensions too, isn't it? Because every pie has to have good sauce, and so you do a sauce as well too.
We do, yeah.
We do a good sauce. And also the great thing about the sauce, it gave us another point in store away from the chiller to remind people about the pies, and it was just a bit of fun really.
Well, Maree and Jessie, it's a business still that has obviously a lot of growth. I mean, New Zealanders do love their pies, and that's probably not going to change anytime soon.
The pie's the limit.
Yep. We're going to build an empire, Jessie?
Yeah.